Hi, I'm Alec and I work for Innate, and everything we do is about improving well-being. We help you find a life that truly works for you, and we do it by utilising those innate skills that enrich life. And in this short video I'm going to be talking about something that we call the needs model of well-being. Now, you might be watching this because you want to improve your own well-being, or perhaps you want to help a family member or close friend. Perhaps you work with clients or students, or maybe you work with groups. Well, the good news is the needs model can be applied to all these different kind of scenarios and works really well. Many people worry a lot about a whole range of things. People worry about ill health, they worry about debt, they worry about relationships, and many people settle for living a life which is less than they really desire. The needs model is a bit like a pair of glasses. You can take them off and you can put them on. And when you put them on, it allows you to make sense of the bigger picture of somebody's life. You can apply it either to an overall kind of needs audit of how someone's doing, to look at the whole overall picture of health, or you can apply it to a particular situation such as the work environment or the home environment or any kind of environment. Or perhaps you might prefer to use it as a tool to help when making a decision. Should I take route A? Should I take route B? You can apply this model and help make sense of what would be the best decision for your well-being. It gets great results, especially when used alongside the Innate Cards Wellbeing Resource Pack, which is something I'll talk about in a later video, but which is a tool that helps you apply this model in a very practical sense. It's a very simple model, it doesn't take a lot of learning, it's fairly self-evident, but I'm hoping that by talking about it in this way it'll help you just see it from a new perspective. I should also say there are some issues that need the help of a specialist. Issues like trauma are beyond the scope of the needs model. But having said that, it is really widely applicable, and especially to people who maybe wouldn't be the people who would go to seek help from therapy. It's a more practical lifestyle kind of thing. So take a look at this image of a plant that's doing quite well. Its leaves are green, it's obviously thriving. It's a plant whose needs are met, if you like. And contrast that for a moment with this second image of a plant that clearly looks stressed. Its leaves are yellow and they're drooping and it's struggling. Now, if you wanted to look after that plant, what would you do? Well, the obvious things to check would be, has it had enough water? Has it got moisture in the soil? Has it got enough light? Has it got a big enough plant pot? Has it got the right kind of nutrition in the soil? These are all things which, if you notice are out of kilter, if you address them, then you would expect the plant to recover and to start thriving again. Because it's in the nature of a plant to thrive when its needs are met in balance. In a way, it's kind of worth pointing out that the plant is not ill. It might look tired and dejected, but it's not actually sick. It hasn't got a disease. It's simply displaying a natural stress response to the fact that its environment is not supporting it the way it needs it to. Or it's not getting the things from its environment that it needs in order to thrive. And you might compare that plant to, say, a stone, a non-living thing. The stone will exist for thousands of years without any change because it doesn't need its environment particularly to replenish itself or to nourish itself. Whereas all living things, including plants and human beings, have to rebuild themselves, they have to grow, they have to develop in order to remain healthy. So if we extend this metaphor from a plant to the human situation, well, obviously humans are more complex. We have brains, we move around, and we have more complex needs. But the same idea applies. If we are not getting the right kind of nourishment from our environment, then we will display a stress response. Now, it may manifest in a number of different ways. We might become anxious. We might become slightly depressed or even properly depressed. We might develop behaviours that don't really work for us in the long term, like addictive behaviours or self-harm behaviours. What's interesting is that the precursor to all this is the stress response, and stress can be looked at as one or more needs not being met. But there's another side to the coin of the needs model, and that's the idea of looking at those innate skills, resources, capabilities that we come into the world already equipped with, that we're born with, if you like. We know that the plant has a kind of knowledge built into its genetic system that tells it how to put down roots and how to seek out the nutrition it needs from the soil. And human beings also have inner templates, some genetic coding. We have evolved to develop skills and resources that we naturally use, without even thinking about it most of the time, to get our needs met. So for instance, we all have a rational mind, we all have an imagination. These resources are innate, they're part of who we are. The degree to which they work depends to some extent on our upbringing, our experiences, and the way that we've been taught to use them. Now if you look at this diagram, there's an orange circle in the middle. That represents you. That represents the things that you come into the world equipped with. It's the inner part of the diagram, if you like. Outside that is a larger blue circle, which represents the environment that you find yourselves within. And the idea is that when you're using your inner resources to get the things that you need from your environment in order to thrive in a balanced way, then in a very real sense you're working at the optimum conditions given any constraints that you have to operate within. It is possible to misuse resources. So for instance, somebody who spends all their time worrying, you could say that actually they're misusing their most powerful resource of their imagination. Using your imagination to envisage solutions or things that you want to work towards is a great idea. But if you misuse it and use it for worry, then that can actually be very dangerous to you. So the idea is that when we use our resources to get our needs met in balance, then we are naturally healthy. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. What makes relationships work? What makes a strong relationship? Well, you might think, well, having common interests is a good starting place, and I would agree it's probably a starting place, but it's not the whole story. For instance, some people believe that the things that are not talked about are what's common in relationships. So the taboos, the shared taboos, are what sometimes are indicative of a strong relationship. But we would say that a strong relationship is one where each person helps the other person to get their needs met in balance. So basically we'd say that people thrive when their needs are met. Relationships thrive when people help each other to get their needs met. So briefly to summarise, we show behaviours such as anxiety, depression, stress types of behaviour as a natural response to our needs not being met, one or more needs. By putting on the needs glasses, by looking at life from this perspective, we can identify immediate actions that can be taken to make people feel better. Because when you get a need met that's not met before, then you automatically feel better, just in the same way as the plant starts to come back to full life and being thriving when it's given water, if water was what was missing. When you feel better, you're more likely to be motivated to get your other needs met. So there is a cyclic aspect to this. And this model, I would say, gives some insights into really practical steps of what to do, what to focus on, where to place your attention in order to improve your well-being. Now in the next video I'm going to be talking a little bit more about innate cards, which is a well-being resource that uses this model, that takes it and allows you to apply it in a very practical way to help either yourself or other people to get their needs met in balance. It's open-ended and it works, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Thanks for watching.